Today in world history, we tackled genocides. We've been kind of wrapping up World War II, and of course, students throughout their educational career usually get a lot about the Holocaust and that specific genocide. But we took it kind of further and looked at genocides of the 20th century. Previous in my class, we've used the term genocide to cover the genocide of indigenous peoples in the Americas, as well as the genocide in the Congo, led by Belgium's King Leopold. But then we really focused on kind of the identity-based genocides that took place of the 19th century, and so the Armenian genocide, of course, the Holocaust, the Rwandan genocide, the Bosnia-Herzegovina genocide, the Cambodian genocide, and so getting students to really look at those things. But we started with like these um, you know, 8 elements of a genocide, and how it talks about how we get to that. And the really important lessons that I think, I really encourage students to think about is the otherization and the dehumanization of groups, right? The polarization, increasing separation of two distinct identities with no room in between, and kind of the targeting of moderates and trying to silence moderates and things like that to make it seem like there's only one side or the other, and especially this element of dehumanization. And it's interesting because we live in a time frame where our sitting president makes dehumanizing statements about immigrant groups, about Muslims, about different ones. When you call people cockroaches or rats, and I know that he's probably trying to just refer to those he views as criminalistic, but many people in America apply that to all immigrants, and that's not okay. It's not acceptable to dehumanize and to refer to people as animals and to refer to people as pests and vermin and things like that. It's the same rhetoric that gives way and leads to all of the previous genocides that we've seen over the last century. And so it's a very important lesson to get into. It's not it's not a cheerful topic, but we have to deal with the stark reality of our world and where we've been and what we need to do to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And even in small ways, how do we end polarization? How do we see one another? How do we humanize one another? How do we get to know and learn from one another in order to prevent any such tragedy from happening again? So we'll continue discussing it over the next few days as students investigate their assigned genocide, and then share out with the class about why it happened and what we can learn from it. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow.